you think you're free? I don't mean free to walk around, or to vote, or to pick a latte over an espresso. I mean truly free in your mind. Free from manipulation, free from conditioning, free from your own compulsions. Think carefully, because what if the answer is no? You wake up in the morning, what's the first thing you do? You don't even think. You grab your phone. Before your feet touch the floor, your brain is already swimming in dopamine. Instagram stories, headlines, a meme you've seen 10 times, but still double tap. And then, maybe, you scroll TikTok while brushing your teeth. Maybe you say it's just background noise. But is it? Then you drink your coffee. And it's not just a drink, it's a chemical anchor, another hit. A tiny pleasure to silence that voice in your head that says, something's off. And when you finally get a moment of silence, it creeps in. That discomfort, that emptiness. So what do? You reach, again, for stimulation. Any stimulation. But here's the question no one asks. What is all this stimulation doing to you? And who profits from you never having a moment alone with your own thoughts? In 1949, George Orwell gave us 1984, a chilling prophecy of a world ruled by fear, surveillance, and brutal repression. But just a generation earlier, Aldous Huxley wrote something even darker, Brave New World, where Orwell feared the truth would be hidden from us. Huxley feared we would drown in a sea of irrelevant. This isn't fiction anymore. It's Huxley's prophecy, come to life. Neuroscience meets modern slavery. Pleasure isn't evil. It's evolution. It's how our ancestors survived. Food, sex, warmth, laughter. Dopamine helped them know what to pursue. But now, pleasure has been hacked. We don't seek what's good for us. We seek whatever makes us feel good now, no matter the cost. The average person checks their phone 144 times a day. Most can't go more than 10 minutes without reaching for a screen. Some feel anxious the moment silence enters a room. What we used to call addiction, we now call culture. But there's something far more dangerous here. Modern slavery wears a smile. You're not being chained. You're being entertained. You're not being silenced. You're being overwhelmed. You're not being forced to obey. You're being trained to comply with smiles, likes, pings, playlists. This is what Huxley called loving your servitude. He imagined a world where people wouldn't need to be ruled because they'd never think to resist. And today, when discomfort arises, when boredom creeps in, when a single moment feels too still, what do? You reach for the same tool again. Pleasure. Endless scrolling. One more episode. A game. A tweet. A snack. A drink. And we call this freedom? It's not freedom. It's programming. Interactive pause. Ask yourself, take a deep breath. Pause this video if you have to. Ask yourself, when was the last time you sat in silence for 5 minutes and did nothing? No phone, no music, no distraction, just you and your thoughts. If that idea makes you uncomfortable, you need to ask, why? Is your freedom really yours? Or has it been stolen by convenience, by conditioning, by algorithms that know your triggers better than you know yourself? This video isn't just entertainment. It's a challenge, a mirror, and maybe, for the first time, you're seeing what's really behind the reflection. So I ask you now, if the enemy is not force, but pleasure, if the chains are not steel, but dopamine, then how do we break free? How do we stop living in a world where slavery feels like joy and start reclaiming our true autonomy? That's what we explore next. But before we continue, do this. Like this video if it made you feel. Subscribe to the channel because you're not meant to walk this path alone. And in the comments, answer this. What pleasure habit are you ready to break? Because freedom starts with a question, and you just asked the first one. Chapter 2. The Conditioning of a Pleasure-Obsessed Society. You weren't born addicted to pleasure. You were trained to chase distractions, trained to avoid silence, trained to consume. Let's trace that conditioning, because only when you understand how the trap was built can you begin to break it. Early programming, how you were taught to obey comfort. From childhood, the world taught you a lesson. Discomfort is bad. When you cried, you were given a screen. When you got bored, someone handed you entertainment. When you failed, you were told not to feel bad. Just try something easier. We were never taught to sit with pain. We were taught to run from it. And here's the twist. Those who taught us weren't evil. They were just programmed too. Because they, too, were raised in a system that treats boredom, frustration, and discomfort like diseases. And guess what? That system sells the cure. More content, more convenience, more consumption, education, designed to suppress thought, not spark it. Now think about your school experience. Were you taught to question, to challenge authority, to embrace complex, uncomfortable ideas? Or were you taught to memorize, conform, obey? The modern school system wasn't designed to produce thinkers. It was designed to produce workers, people who follow orders, not instincts. And in a world run by industries that sell distraction, silence is not profitable. So it's no surprise we grow up allergic to it. Culture of noise, entertainment as escapism. Walk into any public space, a waiting room, a coffee shop, a train station. What do you hear? Noise, music, ads, screens, TikTok, conversations about shows about other shows. We have become a species terrified of stillness. Not because silence is bad, but because in silence, the truth echoes. And the truth is this: we are deeply unfulfilled. Not because our lives are hard, but because they lack depth. Dopamine dependency, the science of conditioning. Every time you pick up your phone, your brain gets a little hit of dopamine. Dopamine isn't pleasure itself. It's the anticipation of pleasure. It's what drives when your desires are shaped by algorithms, when your emotions are managed by external stimuli, when your day is directed by push notifications. You stop being a person. You become a product, a data point, a demographic. And the worst part? You think it's all your idea. You say, this is just who I am. But is it? Or is it just the sum of 1,000 manipulations that made you forget who you were before the world told you who to be? Interactive reflection. What are you choosing? Let's pause. Not for dramatic effect, but for you. Take a deep breath. Ask yourself this. When was the last time you did something difficult on purpose? Read a hard book. Sat in stillness. Had a conversation without checking your phone. Felt a negative emotion without escaping it. Can you remember? If not, don't feel ashamed. Feel alert, because that's the beginning of waking up. The illusion of choice. Now, let's debunk one of the biggest lies you've been sold, that this is all your choice. No one forces you to binge watch. No one makes you check social media. No one requires you to keep consuming. So it must be your decision, right? Wrong. When every environment you exist in is engineered to reward distraction. When every app is designed to keep you addicted. When your brain chemistry has been manipulated from a young age. That's not free will. That's behavioral programming. A casino doesn't force you to gamble, but it does everything in its power to keep you playing. In this society, it's the biggest casino of them all. Set up for action. What's next? You've now seen how deep the conditioning goes. You've seen how society doesn't need chains to control you. It only needs comfort. You've been trained to seek what's easy. Now it's time to do what's hard. Because freedom doesn't come from pleasure. It comes from pain, from discipline, from introspection, and most of all, from meaning. So in the next segment, we go deeper into the pain society taught you to avoid, into the suffering that actually builds strength, and into why facing discomfort is no longer a luxury. It's a survival skill. You've learned how your mind was conditioned. Next, I'll show you how to reclaim it. Because pleasure enslaves, but purpose sets you free. Chapter 3. Discomfort, the path to power. You've been taught to fear discomfort. But what if discomfort isn't your enemy? What if it's your key to liberation? Why pain matters. Here's an uncomfortable truth. You can't grow without pain. Muscles don't grow without resistance. Wisdom doesn't come without mistakes. Resilience doesn't exist without stress. And yet, every screen, every ad, every app promises you one thing: no discomfort required. Fast food instead of cooking. Endless swipes instead of vulnerability. Short videos instead of deep thinking. We've engineered a world that removes friction. And in doing so, we've removed strength. Neuroplasticity and strength through struggle. Let's get scientific. Neuroscience tells us your brain is shaped by what you repeat. If you avoid discomfort constantly, your brain literally atrophies in its capacity to endure it. But when you choose discomfort, when you sit with pain, boredom, frustration, your neural circuits strengthen. your tolerance expands. Your inner world deepens. Think of discomfort like a gym for the soul. No resistance equals no growth. The cultural shift toward fragility. We are becoming emotionally fragile. A disagreement feels like an attack. An opposing view causes outrage. A single moment of boredom sparks a dopamine-seeking spiral. We mistake comfort for progress. But here's what Huxley warned us about. A society that avoids all suffering does not become happy. It becomes hollow. Because when you remove all pain, you also remove the ability to appreciate joy, depth, nuance. Everything becomes flat. Real strength comes from facing the abyss. Let's go deeper. Have you ever felt lost? That existential emptiness that no pleasure can fill? That's not a bug. That's the system showing you the truth. Because all your scrolling, all your binge watching, all your compulsive pleasure seeking, they're not making you feel more alive. They're keeping you from truly living. The most powerful people in history, leaders, thinkers, revolutionaries, did not avoid suffering. They faced it. They transformed it. And that is what you're capable of. But only if you stop numbing. The myth of the easy life. You've been sold a lie, that life should be easy, that if something is hard, it's wrong. But the truth is the opposite. Life should be hard, not always painful, not always harsh, but challenging, because challenge sharpens you. It teaches you who you are. Without it, you become soft, indecisive, weak. And guess who thrives in a world full of soft, indecisive, weak individuals? Those who want control, because fragile people are easy to manipulate. They need authority to tell them what to do, what to buy, who to be. But resilient people? They question, they endure, they create. The forgotten virtues, discipline, grit, delayed gratification. These words used to be aspirational, discipline, grit, sacrifice. Now, they're treated like burdens. Why work hard when you can manifest? Why struggle when there's a shortcut? But without struggle, there is no story worth telling. And without pain, there is no beauty worth remembering. You weren't made for comfort. You were made for meaning. And that only comes through discomfort willingly faced. Practicing discomfort in everyday life. How do you reclaim your power? Not through revolution. Not through rebellion, through rituals of resistance. Turn off your phone for a few hours. Sit in silence and do nothing. Go on a walk with no music, no podcasts. Say no to instant pleasures. Delay gratification on purpose. Every time you do this, your tolerance grows. And you send a signal to your brain. I am in control, not my cravings. The rebirth through struggle. You've been numb. You've been pacified. You've been trained to be soft. But deep down, something is waking up. A part of you that wants to be challenged, that wants to reclaim discomfort as sacred, that knows suffering is not to be avoided, but embraced, understood, even honored. because through it, you will become something more than a consumer. You will become a creator of meaning, of discipline, of purpose, of freedom. What comes next? Now you know the truth. Comfort weakens, discomfort strengthens, and no pleasure, no distraction, no algorithm will ever make you whole. Only one thing can: purpose. In the next segment, we'll explore what it truly means to build a life around purpose, how it liberates you from addiction, and why meaning is the most radical act of rebellion in the modern world. If you want to become unbreakable, you must stop chasing comfort and start choosing challenge. Chapter 4: Purpose, the antidote to addiction. You've heard the warnings. You've seen the trap. You've started to understand how pleasure enslaves. Now the question becomes, what do you replace it with? Because here's the truth no one tells you. You cannot remove a powerful addiction without offering something stronger in its place. And that stronger thing is purpose. Why purpose is more than a goal. Purpose is not a career. It's not a bucket list. It's not what you write on your resume or say in an elevator pitch. Purpose is the internal compass that tells you why you wake up every day, why you endure suffering, why you say no to distractions, why you keep going when everything else tells you to quit. It is your why, and without it, your mind will seek pleasure as a substitute. Because an empty soul will always crave stimulation. Pleasure fades, purpose builds. Let's compare them. Pleasure, fleeting. You feel it, then it vanishes. Purpose, compounding. It builds over time. It expands you. Pleasure gives you a hit. Purpose gives you a foundation. Which one do you think makes you stronger? Which one do you think the system wants you to choose? The one that keeps you chasing your tail, or the one that sets you free? How to find purpose in a distracted world. Here's what most people get wrong. They wait for purpose to appear, like lightning from the sky or some divine whisper. But purpose isn't discovered. It's built, one hard choice at a time. One commitment kept when it was easier to quit. One moment of discomfort you decide to lean into, not escape from. Purpose is not glamorous. It's not sexy. It's forged in sweat, struggle, silence. But it's the only thing that gives suffering meaning. Start with this: meaning over mood. Mood says, I don't feel like doing this. Purpose says, I'm doing this because it matters. Mood is reactive. Purpose is proactive. If you live based on how you feel, you will always serve your impulses. But if you live based on what matters, you become someone your future self will thank. Ask yourself, what could I do that matters more than pleasure? What impact do I want to leave behind? What pain am I willing to endure for something bigger than myself? How to train purpose like a muscle. Let's be practical. How do you train purpose? Eliminate distractions. Not forever, but enough to give your mind space to breathe. Start building something long-term. A project, a skill, a relationship, something that takes months or years, not minutes. Create rituals, not routines. A ritual has meaning. It grounds you. It says, this matters. Reflect daily. What did I do today that aligned with my values? What did I do just for a quick fix? Serve others. Purpose expands when it's not about you. The greatest fulfillment often comes from contribution. The fire of purpose versus the flicker of pleasure. Here's what you'll notice when purpose takes root. Distractions lose their power. You stop caring about superficial validation. You no longer chase likes. You build legacy. Your cravings for dopamine dull because meaning begins to glow inside you. And when setbacks come, as they always do, you don't crumble. You stand taller because you know what you're fighting for. Why the system fears people with purpose. Think about it. A person with purpose buys less nonsense, clicks fewer ads, needs less approval, follows fewer influencers. They become dangerous. Dangerous to a system that profits from your distraction. Purpose is rebellion. Viktor Frankl and the ultimate proof. During the Holocaust, psychiatrist Viktor Frankl observed that those who survived the most horrific conditions had one thing in common. They had a purpose. Not pleasure, not comfort. Purpose. To find a loved one. To finish a book. To speak truth once the horror ended. If purpose kept people alive in the worst human conditions, what could it do for you? Reclaim your mind through purpose. In the final analysis, this is your task. Stop living for the next hit. Start living for the next milestone. Stop chasing entertainment. Start creating impact. Stop asking what feels good. Start asking what feels right. And when you feel that familiar pull, the scroll, the snack, the numbing distraction, pause and ask, does this feed my purpose or steal from it? Up next, the final liberation. You've walked through the illusion of freedom. You've faced the discomfort. You've begun to touch purpose. But one final step remains. What happens when you break free and everyone else stays asleep? In the next segment, we'll explore the loneliness of awakening and why your freedom might make others uncomfortable. Stay with me. The most powerful transformation is still to come. The pursuit of pleasure made you blind. The pain of awakening made you see. But purpose? Purpose will make you unstoppable. Chapter 5. The loneliness of awakening and sustained freedom. Congratulations. You've done something most people never even begin. You've followed a path few dare to walk, from distraction to discomfort to purpose. But now comes a final truth. Freedom isn't easy, especially when no one around you is free. The awakening that can isolate. When you begin to wake up, you see things others don't. You see the swarm of notifications pulling attention like moths to a flame. You see shallow smiles, quick fixes, phantom connections. You feel the discomfort of silence. You choose discomfort. You choose meaning. And everything changes. Not just for you, but for those around you. Why freedom makes others uncomfortable? Think about it. When you change, others get mirrors. Because your freedom highlights their distraction. Your discipline exposes their avoidance. Your clarity reflects their confusion. Suddenly, conversations shift. What once flowed smoothly now hits resistance. They may love it. They may push back. Some will cheer. Others might label you too serious, too intense, out of touch. And it hurts. Because freedom can feel like betrayal. You're the same person, but not. And that can make others feel you've become strange or unreachable. Navigating the shift in relationships. What do you do now? You don't reject them. You open a new conversation. Explain your values, your vision, your routines. Invite them, but don't push. Share actions, not lectures. Let transformation speak through your behavior. Over time, some will follow. Some may pull away. And that's okay. Freedom isn't about forcing others to change. It's about respecting your own transformation. Creating your community of purpose. Now, you need allies. People who understand the hunger you feel. Who also choose strength over comfort, who challenge you to grow. Seek out your tribe, online groups, a friend who's doing deep work, a mentor, a coach. Find people who skip the noise, keep real, dare to feel deeply, strive for meaning. Because purpose grows in community, not isolation. Build for the long game. Purpose isn't a one-time revolution. It's a daily commitment. A morning of coffee without your phone, an hour of silence, a conversation with depth, a project that tests you, a helping hand to someone without gain. It's living deliberately. Each day is another brick, resisting relapse into comfort. You will feel the pull. Old habits won't die easy. That video, that scroll, you've trained your brain to want it. So build defenses, apps to block distraction, accountability partners, weekly solitude check-ins, purpose reminders on your wall. Every rebellion starts with a reminder. Freedom is not once. It is constant. Freedom in practice, your new identity. Imagine you now. Welcome discomfort. Fulfill commitments even when tired. Reflect before scrolling. Choose depth over escape. Create value over consuming noise. That is genuine freedom. That is purpose in motion. That is someone the world can't ignore. So here's what matters now. If you're still watching this, it means you want something more. And now you've been given a map. 1. Recognition. You're not as free as you think. 2. Struggle. Use discomfort to get stronger. 3. Purpose. Build something that lasts. 4. Community. Find your people. 5. Persistence. Show up every day. It won't be easy. It will be lonely at times. It will make others uncomfortable. But the person you become on the other side, worth every sacrifice. Now, in the comments, type, "I choose freedom." Let it be your public stand. And if this video woke something inside you, like it to honor that awakening. Subscribe to continue walking the path. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. Let's build a quiet revolution. Because the real chains aren't around your wrists, they're in your mind. And today, those chains began to break.